Oh, guys, Submission Underground. I had so much fun. It was such a great event. So let's just get into the meat of things and fast forward to the main card. So Amanda Lowen comes out. If anybody has earned a title opportunity, it's her, but the women's championship has never been contested. So there was no title, by example, for her to come in and claim. There was nobody for her to challenge. Amanda did so much good work over the past 4 years that she opened an opportunity to where the women in the division just could not be denied. And she was attracting some very big names. I mean, from Sarah Kaufman to Jessica I to Julian Robertson to Felicia Spencer last night for the championship. It's one of these things where she brought in so much attention and had so many people coming after her. There was just no way to not say, okay, this has to be for a championship. We have to start somewhere. We've identified you, Amanda, or you identify yourself. Who's going to be opposite you? It's just one of these things where it was a mess, but it also created for a wonderful evening that's going to be remembered throughout time. It's the first ever. Comes in with Felicia Spencer, and I was very intrigued by this match for a physicality reason. Amanda is a very strong human. So is Felicia Spencer. I don't know that I've ever given a breakdown prior to a match based on strength. Who can do more pull-ups than the other one? Right? Ever. It'd be a little weird if I did, but it was a real thing because Amanda is so strong. You've got to deal with that. Before you want to start talking about the unified or the EBI rules, before you want to start talking about arm bars and back control, you're going to have to deal with a physicality that Amanda's showing up with, and Felicia can. Felicia's ever bit as strong. So it's just one of these interesting matches. Amanda ends up finding an arm bar against the cage. The cage will either help you and be a tag team partner, or it will impede you. And it is all based around position and how much time you spent understanding it. Amanda was able to use the cage in her advantage and was able to find an arm bar that if they weren't open mat, possibly she wouldn't find. I bring that too because it was the story of the fight into a congratulations to the new and first ever champion in Amanda. We then go into Craig Jones versus Brent Primus. Now, this for me was the main event. I mean, this was the main one that I personally, Chael, wanted to see. There is not an athlete out there who is a bigger star in grappling than Craig Jones. I can tell you, even amongst the athletes on the card, when everybody shows up to the venue, you're kind of doing your own thing, or you're eyeing a guy, or maybe you throw him a hello. When Craig walks in, people want autographs. They want to come up and say hi to him. They want to come up and pick his brain on certain techniques. The fellow athletes treat Craig different. The guy's just a star, period. He is also the most scouted guy in the sport. He is the guy that is watched the most. Whether you're breaking down his tapes or his matches and you're trying to figure out some of these strategies and tactics that he's doing, everybody who has a plan within submission grappling is watching Craig Jones, which makes it tough to beat Craig Jones. How do you stay the man when everybody's coming for you and he doesn't get that same luxury? He does not get to go to bed at night thinking about one guy. He has to think about a world who's coming after him. They're all thinking about him, with coaches who are thinking about him, with teammates who are emulating and trying to act as though they're Craig Jones. It's just one of these deals. And Craig ends up in there with Brent Primus. Now, if you don't know anything about Brent Primus, you only need to know this. He stopped Michael Chandler. He stopped Jake Shields. Do I even need to go on? So Brent Primus is one nasty customer, and Brent came in with a very good plan. Brent's plan was protect my lower body, protect my knee, protect my foot, protect my ankle, and Brent did it. Brent succeeded at what his perceived goal was. What we learned is Craig has adapted. Craig never once got below the knee. He went for it. He feinted. Nothing was close. Nothing was so much as what you would even call a catch. So he went to something else. And that's the thing that Craig Jones needed to prove to us, the viewer, to us, the grappling world, that when he's being scouted and he's being watched, that he has another plan, that he is aware enough of himself and his own success within this space, that he knows that people are watching him. Right when you have all the answers, Craig Jones changes the questions. Right? Old Bobby the Brain Heenan line. One that Errol Hawani loves to bring out, but I like the adage because it's what happened. right when you had the answers, and Brent Primus had them. Brent Primus nailed the answers. Craig Jones changed the questions. Craig Jones had multiple sweeps in the match, but he did them all by going down first. He would sit himself down, start to look arm drag, start to look sweep, come out on top. I mean, this was a back and forth battle where when Craig Jones was getting his hand raised, he actually bent over at one moment, put his hand on his knees type thing from exhaustion. He was tired. 4-minute match, 3.5-minute match. This was a non-stop. This thing absolutely delivered, but Craig also showed us what Craig needed to show us, which is that Craig, the best, is getting better. He understands that he's being scouted. He's getting better. You then move on to Rumble Johnson versus Ryan Bader. This was a street fight without punches, if I've ever seen one. And they have a history. They competed in MMA at one point at light heavyweight. They are both now heavyweights. I understand that Rumble is rumored to be going down to 205. I'm talking about yesterday when they got in the cage. These guys are both 230 pounds or more. Bader right at that 228, 229. Rumble Johnson right at that 235, 239. These guys are heavyweights. These guys are bigger than Stipe. So they're now contesting a different rule set, but they're also doing it at a different weight class. It's a new match. Ryan Bader wanted to beat Rumble Johnson so damn bad, and it was so obvious. The second that ref said go, Bader comes across and just starts yanking on Rumble's head, and it was almost like a fear factor. You'll always hear fear, oh, this guy's scared, and you'll think that that's a negative. I will tell you, to personalize this, my best performances were the ones when I was feeling that the most, because you come out there with an urgency. There's a very specific urgency that fear can create. And Ryan Bader, he came across that ring so fast. He got his hands, and they were heavy hands right on Rumble Johnson, right on his neck, snaps him down front headlock, pushes him in the fence, tries strangling him, comes back to pull him. It was one of these things where Rumble, it was very clear what Bader's strategy was, which to jump on this guy and never take my foot off the gas. But it was very clear what Rumble was thinking. Rumble was thinking, okay, you're coming out here with a whole bunch of nervous energy. You're going to burn out. I'm going to be here. I'm going to wait. I'm going to let you use this energy up. You're not going to finish me. And then we'll see who's who. It was one of these things, but Bader never stopped. Bader showed up with this endless endurance, and he just would not stop. And I love to compare combat to a dance, because it's a great analogy that you guys would understand, in that only one person can lead at a time. So if the other guy is taking charge, you strategically have to find out, do I have the power, skill, and speed to take back control of this, or do I just let him have his moment and then he'll give me control back? He's going to need to find his breathers too, and that's now when my offense comes. It was one of these things, so I knew what Rumble was thinking. Rumble's thinking, this guy's coming out too hot too early. I'm going to wait. Rumble would be right in any time except last night. I have the foggiest idea what got Bader. But Bader very clearly wanted this victory so damn bad. And I don't know if this is one he's secretly been carrying around with him for all the years since him and Rumble were last in there. I don't know if it's because Rumble now signed with Bellator and Bader, hey, let me show you who the champ is here, kid. I don't know what happened. I only know what my eyes showed me, which was one intense, would not be denied Ryan Bader. So these guys run the clock out. They do this every they do the regulation, they do the coin toss, they go into the overtime and trade all the positions, and it was just Bader. Bader was just relentless, and Bader beat him, which brings you into the co-main event. Now, this is a little bit of the talk of the town, but I'm going to condescend to you all as though you didn't see it, because if you didn't see it, this got real interesting and real weird, and it all happened real fast. So, there is nobody at the event that has more power than me. There's nobody that can make a decision over my decision. Okay, I didn't mean that for arrogance, but I mean that to set the stage for you. But guys, you've got to understand this. We're in COVID times. We only have 4 people on the floor, okay? Red corner, blue corner, a doctor, and the referee. No one else is there. In between matches, a cleaning crew comes in, they leave before red corner, blue corner, referee, and doctor return. There is never more than 4 people. The cameras that run this event to the world are on remote control. and feet on a cord outside to a nobody's together. And I only bring this to you because that includes me. I'm in a different room. I'm in a different room watching this on a monitor. So why I talk about I could not have. Now let me back this thing up. Cowboy, RDA. They go out there. It's a great match. It turns into a wrestling match. More than anything, both guys wanted to be on top, and neither guy could get there. And the one time that RDA did, Cerrone posted on his hips, pushed away, and popped back up to their feet. So these guys are wrestling hard. I mean, RDA's grabbing underhooks and running Donald until the fence catches him. This thing gets pretty aggressive right from Jump Street. They go into the overtimes. As they're exhausting overtimes, Donald Cerrone has an armbar on RDA. A very common move to defend an armbar. You must create space. Okay, think of an armbar. The guy's got your arm. He's manipulated by pinching his knees together. If you can create space, which can easily be done by posting your hand on one of the knees and prying it out. That's what RDA does. But he does it with an open hand, and he does it twice. So his arm is being manipulated, and he takes an open hand and twice posts it on Donald's knee. Guys, let me ask you a question. What's a tap? What does a tap look like? It will look like an open hand posting repeatedly on a guy's body part, in this case, the knee. So the referee sees you're in a manipulation. By the way, your hand is open and just tapped his knee twice. You submit it. So the referee calls it, Donald wins, they leave, we're getting ready for the main event. Well, we're doing an instant replay, okay? Now, again, I'm sharing this from my perspective. I am in a different location with a monitor and a headset to call the action live, but I'm not there. I'm not on the floor. These guys leave, we're getting ready for the main event. And RDA is not happy about this. He's not being a little baby poor sport. He's not storming out. He's not cursing at anybody, but he does say, I didn't tap. While he's saying this, while they're leaving, while the main event is loading, we do a replay, of which time I see this again. I see what the referee saw. I know that RDA did not mean to tap. I get that. I know what he meant to do. I know that technique of posting a knee, creating some space, trying to sit up, lever your arm through. I understand what he was doing intent-wise. I'm telling you, with an open hand, he posted on the knee twice. That is a tap. That's open to interpretation. It was interpreted, and the referee has to be ultra sensitive. He has to be, because an arm is at stake. If a guy says, let me go, it's imperative that the referee get in there and says, let him go. That's what happened. Store that away. Main event load. Submission Underground champion, Mason Fowler. Nobody's had a 2020 like this guy, taking on Olympic champion, Ishii. Now, this is going to be an intriguing match for the very one reason and the very one question that I posed to you guys prior to the match, which is, why is judo unrepresented in the sport of professional grappling? Is it because they are not interested? Is it because they are not invited? Or is it because judo doesn't work? A lot of you were very upset with me for asking that question, but guys, that is the question. I'm not answering it. I'm telling you the three possibilities of why we don't see judo represented in EBI, in Submission Underground, or in Abu Dhabi, the biggest grappling events in the world. With more eyeballs, more dollars, we don't see it represented. Why? So we're going to bring in the Olympic champion. And we're throwing him right in the deep end. We're throwing him with the Submission Underground champion. Okay, great. But this is the story of this match. These guys go back and forth. Ishii looks beautiful. Comes into an over-under, hits a foot sweep, puts Mason down, stays on top, slows the action of the match. That was Ishii's plan, right? I know that's not what the viewer loves, but I'm sharing with you what happened. Slow the match down. Let me slow this guy down. Let me get my bearings and my feel. I'm thrown into a main event championship match. I haven't done this before against a guy who is all he does. Let me slow this thing down. Okay. They end up going back and forth with the arm bars. Ultimately, Mason is able to extend, submit, and defeat Ishii. Very big win. If you can beat an Olympic champion, guys, it's very hard to even get a contest with an Olympic champion. And the one that was putting on the line here wasn't Mason. It was Ishii. There's just not a lot of Olympic champions out there. Do you know any? Don't tell me about a guy that you read about. Do you know any? Do you have any friends that have an Olympic gold medal? Do you have a family member? Do you have a guy you went to school with? I mean, being an Olympic champion is a very rare thing. So for Mason to get in there with an Olympic champion, look at all the things that have to happen. Then for Mason to beat an Olympic champion, it's just one of those. It was a great and glorious moment. But while this is happening, I start getting what's called talkback into my earpiece. And they're saying, hey, Chael, when this event is over, which is fade to black, roll the credits, it's the main event. We're all done. Thanks for watching and goodbye. Wrong. I'm getting talkback saying when this match is over, RDA and Cowboy are returning to the ring. So I'm trying to understand what's being told to me while watching a match and calling it for you guys. I go, what do you mean they're returning to the ring? For what? For what? What would that mean? Well, they're going to redo the overtime. What do you mean they're going to redo the overtime? Like, let's say, so Cowboy has won this match. That's official. That happened. You can discuss the controversy, discuss what you thought the tap was. That's a totally different. What do you mean we're going to redo it? Like we're going to live with the result? Says who? With what authority? With what authority are we going to flip a coin into overtime and make believe as the first overtime did it already? With how are we doing it? And I don't know the answers. I'm getting talked to while talking to you guys. So sure enough, it ends. Now, the only person who can stop RDA and Cowboy, who as far as they're concerned, we're adults. We have made a gentleman's agreement. Cowboy's saying, hey, look, he says he didn't tap. I've known this guy a long time. I trust him. RDA saying, I didn't tap. He trusts. We need to redo this thing. I understand that. The integrity of sport is something else. So again, I come back and ask you, with what authority are they able to redo this scenario? And the only person who can stop them is the referee. The referee, who is a sanctioned licensed referee, not only every state from Nevada on down, he's also sanctioned within the ABC, the Associated Boxing Commission. I mean, this guy, when he says it's going to go, and in the world of grappling, it ultimately is going to come down to his opinion. And I am believing he who does not have an earpiece in, who does not have the information that I have, and who believes the night is over is going to be confronted with RDA and Cowboy starting to step back into his cage, and he may possibly say, what do you know? I don't know. I just don't know what's happening. So I'm trying to tell the audience this, guys, I'm being told these two crazy knuckleheads are going to attempt to redo their overtime. The referee may turn them away at the cage. If he doesn't, if the referee brings them in and he certifies that this will be the new result, then that's the new result. Okay. But you see where there's a lot of moving parts here. So all of a sudden the camera cuts back to the cage. They're not only in the cage with the referee, the door is shut and locked and the coin is being flipped. This is happening. Like this, maybe you love this. Maybe you don't like this and you're a bit of a prude on it like I. This is happening, and it's happening live. So RDA and Cowboy go back out there. Now, the absolute best result is the same result, and that's the one that we got. RDA started with Cowboy's arm. Cowboy escaped. Cowboy then gets an arm. He taps RDA. This time's official. Nobody complains. Cowboy taps RDA twice, beats him once. That is what happened with Submission Underground. It was a very wild evening. There was a lot of moving parts. I think there's a possible storyline here to project into the future as it pertains to Ryan Bader and Anthony Johnson, as much as Ryan Bader wanted to get that one back over Rumble Johnson, and Bader has even the score one apiece. Now Rumble's going to have that same motivation. Every single bit of hunger that Bader came in there with now just got passed to Rumble, who is now signed with the organization. Is this foreshadowing? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Bader stays at heavyweight, Rumble goes to light heavyweight. These guys never cross paths again. But I felt as though the stories as they develop in conjunction with the fact that Mason Fowler, the one constant that you're going to have back is Amanda Lowen, and Mason Fowler. That's what happens when you're champions. More to come. Submission Underground making some big news, making some big moves. I'm sitting on something. I've got an ace in the hole. I'm just not ready to tell you yet. I'm working on it. If you're a grappling fan, I will tell you this. Be happy. 2020 is not over yet.